Mad Monster Day 2, the floor opens up at 11 a.m., but the film festival doesn't open up until 1 p.m. So went into the showroom floor, went over to the vial consumption booth, and picked up this Re-Animator poster. Vial consumption does a bunch of these EC style comics. At 12 o'clock, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre panel opened up, so I went over to that. Made a whole separate other video for that, so check that for details on how that went down. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre panel was completely packed. I'm pretty sure it was standing room only in the back. There must have been at least 500 people in the room, and it went on longer than expected. So due to that, unfortunately, I missed the first two films of the first film block, Natus, Vincere, and Dark Odyssey. So if you're from either one of those films and you happen to watch this, sorry about that. Congrats to Dark Odyssey, actually won Best Short. Again, sorry I missed it. Hopefully I catch it at another festival down the road. I should also state that I'm not really going to get too detailed about any of these films. I don't really know what their public status is. So if any of the filmmakers happen to see this and want to discuss it further, get at me and we can do that. But just want to quickly highlight the films that we saw and a few tidbits about them. So the first film we saw was A Drink to Puerto Rico by Dadrian Flavors. It was these two Puerto Ricans arguing about who was the real Puerto Rican from the island. As the drama continues to unfold, we realize that something is kind of fucked in this world, and the last few seconds of this movie make it all worth the while. It's a really dope closing shot, well worth the wait. The next film we saw was another short film called Distance by Patrick Ray. This was a story of a couple's strained relationship by a virus that prevents human touch. So they're kind of communicating through virtual reality. Great special effects. Gave me a kind of Black Mirror vibe. The next film was Siren by Christopher Beaubien. This was another short film. Two women are pulled over by a police cruiser and interrogated. And as the story unfolds, it kind of becomes this psychedelic experience. Some really good cinematography. They actually won Best Sound Design. There were a lot of narrative layers to this one. This is definitely one that I feel like deserves a second viewing to pick up on some of the things that might have gone over my head at the time. So the next film was a feature film, The Fall of Usher by Brian Cunningham. It's kind of a mashup of various Edgar Allan Poe works. It's a slow slip into insanity. It's a little bit of a slow burn. A lot of good writing with this film. You could tell that these folks really had a deep passion for Edgar Allan Poe. This is one of those films that I feel like I need to go brush up on some of Edgar Allan Poe's works, read a little bit more about the film and which pieces they're alluding to, so I could really have a deeper understanding of the film. I've actually never read The House of Usher, so I don't know how much of that carries over into this film. So this is another one of those films that definitely deserves a second viewing. So from there, we stepped out for a minute to go do the Kane Hodder Texas Chainsaw Massacre photo op and to get some food. So unfortunately, we missed a couple of the films there. Derek the Sheep, Boogeymen, Life, Unblocked, Bad Drones, and Moebius Adventures in Monsterland. So if any of you folks happen across this video, sorry I didn't get a chance to see your film. Hopefully I get an opportunity down the line. The next block of films was The Blood-Sucking Freaks. It was a short block with vampire-themed elements. First film was Witch's Bargain by Corey J. Trahan. This was a story about the search for eternal life. Really cool production design with this haunted house set. Really great costumes. Actually won Sexiest Scream Queen award, so congrats on that. The next film was Raising the Stakes by Tom Gore. It was a micro short vampire comedy. The crowd seemed to love it. It was hilarious. Check it out. The next film was Astral Plane Drifter by Mike Caravella, who was in attendance. This was a really crazy film. I'm not even really sure how to describe it. It was a hippie, western, kung fu, sci-fi, horror comedy, but it did it all really well. It's a story of this metalhead in a band that's kind of fallen apart. He goes off to save his girlfriend in distress and just gets into this crazy scenario that you just have to see. The next film was The Hunt by Milena Makeba. This was a story of some young adults partying on the beach. Anytime a movie opens up like that, I'm just expecting that somebody's going into the water and someone's not coming back out. It starts off kind of lighthearted and then starts kind of gradually getting darker and darker, and you're not sure where it's going, and then there's a good twist at the end. The next film is Welcome to Oneg by Delphine Bader. It's a story about this guy interviewing for a position with this supernatural fast food chain. This is one of those films you just gotta check it out. The next film was Bloody Summer Camp by David Kerr, who was in attendance along with some of the producers of the film. This is a classic kind of throwback 80s slasher film with Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan. Had some really good practical effects, especially the opening sequence. They actually won Best Creative Kills for the film. Also, it was produced in Virginia, so shout out to those guys. So right after the Bloody Summer Camp, some awards were handed out, and we happened to win Best Popcorn Moment for our gag at the end of the film that is yet to be revealed. So big ups to Mad Monster and Jamie, appreciate that. So after Bloody Summer Camp, we hung out and chatted with David and some of the producers afterwards, and unfortunately we missed some of the subsequent films, the Performance Anxiety, Motherfucking Massacre, and Sitting Duck. So again, hopefully we're just going to be able to catch those at a future festival. Or if you happen to see this and you want to connect and discuss it, I'd be happy to do that too. The last two films we caught as part of the WTF short block, though, were really good closers, a lot of fun. The first one was Snowblind by Lucas Godfrey. This metal band on tour becomes cursed and things just go terribly wrong. Lots of drugs, chicks, nudity, lots of body horror. This one was just a really fun film. The final film of the night was Quaggers by Adam Tyler. So a meteorite falls near these group of kids that are camping, and madness ensues. There's puppets, there's body horror, there's blood squirting all over the place. It kind of reminded me of Ghoulies a little bit. That was a lot of fun and a really good closer for Saturday night.